One of my favourite things about Kyrgyzstan is just how safe it is. In a lot of developing countries around the world, sometimes you feel a bit unsafe. And in fact, let's be honest, in many westernised developed countries and big cities, there might be parts of those which you feel unsafe as well. But you never feel unsafe in Kyrgyzstan. Maybe it's because there's nobody starving here. You do get some beggars like you do everywhere, but they're never aggressive, not in my experience anyway. You're not seeing as many homeless people here as in other places. Maybe it's because during the Soviet period all things like housing were taken care of. And also here, again, probably because it was part of the Soviet Union, so they had many people from Russia and Ukraine, Belarus, all the Slavic republics of the ex-USSR, that you don't get hassled in any way here, looking a bit different like you might do in other parts of Asia or Africa, where you can get a lot of attention. Sometimes, you might get followed around, people look at you, stare at you, point at you. And most of the time it's perfectly good-natured and everything, but after a while, it can get a little bit tiresome. But you don't get that here. I like the fact that you're not being pestered or hassled all the time like you are in many other developing countries as well. Now, in such places, it's not, you don't feel unsafe. People trying to get you into their shops, in their cafes, trying to sell you things. But it is annoying, let's be honest, after a while, after the 100th person of the day's come up to you and try to sell you something. The great thing about here is you just walk around, no one's pestering you at all. I guess that's one reason I really enjoy just walking around the city. And I've walked, by myself around every part of the city, and like I say, haven't felt uncomfortable at all. Maybe once or twice by large packs of dogs that occasionally you come across, but most of the time that's because I've been going off into weird and wonderful places where there's no habitation, and that's where the dogs are. But no problems as far as humans are concerned. I mean, look, let's be honest, it's a city of 1 million people. I'm not saying for 1 second that crime doesn't happen. I'm quite sure it probably does, but certainly it doesn't ever seem to be aimed at tourists or visitors. So no issues with personal safety, and also no problems with regards to terrorism or anything like that either. I guess a little country like Kyrgyzstan doesn't make many enemies, so you don't have to worry about any terrorist threats like you do in many other countries these days, so that's nice as well. A lot of the time people just seeing me would assume that I'm Russian, but I haven't had any anti-Russian feeling. I've not heard of any either. People here choose to speak Russian pretty much as a first language, especially in Bishkek. So although I guess Kyrgyzstan is a developing country with regards, I guess, to infrastructure, economy, that kind of thing, it's certainly not like a developing country. So I kind of put this somewhere in between a developed and a developing country. But the thing I like about here is I've not been ripped off once in 4 months. You go to even a small little cafe and it will have a menu with the prices on and everything. So it's not like in many of the other places where you've got no idea what the price should be when you travel in other countries where they don't have menus or where things aren't priced and all things like this. You don't get any of that hassle here. It might seem trivial, but I think the fact that there's still plenty of Lenin statues standing in Kyrgyzstan is also interesting, because in many of the other ex-Soviet republics they got torn down in a fit of nationalism or hatred even. But here you still see them. In fact, you could even say that Kyrgyzstan was a Soviet success story. In the USSR, out of the 15 countries that made up the Union, Kyrgyzstan probably developed from where it started off, where it ended up, probably better than any of the others.